Wait a minute, this entire movie could have been an email? It's the drama. Welcome back to Glenn Hates Everything. I'm Glenn, and you know the drill. Today we're going to talk about The Drama, the new feature film from writer-director Christopher Borgli, whose prior films I really admired. Sick of Myself, and especially Dream Scenario with Nicolas Cage. I really liked the surreal vibe of that film. It was really quite Kaufman-esque. And this new one is a bit of a turn from that, although it is still fairly surreal. The Drama, what's it about? It stars Zendaya as Emma and Robert Pattinson as Charlie. And they meet cute, and for a little bit, there's a bit of a rom-com energy to this. However, the editing is so elliptical. The storytelling is very unexpected that you know something is up. It's not your standard rom-com. And it all starts off with a lie, where Charlie picks up Emma at a coffee shop and he sees that she's reading a book. And when she goes away from her table, he snaps a picture of it and looks up the book and then pretends that he's read it when they meet. And so their whole relationship starts off with a lie, and then it just goes from there in crazy ways. So they eventually fall in love, and they're going to get married. And then one night, and I'm not going to spoil this film, I'm just going to give you the initial setup without telling you too much information. One night they get together with their besties, Mike, played by Mamadou Athie, and Rachel, played by Alana Hayim. And they get together and they decide to tell each other the worst thing that they've ever done. So they take turns doing this, and it escalates and changes the entire course of the film. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Alana Hayim especially is fantastic. These are great performances, actually, all around. Robert Pattinson has never been this loosey-goosey before, and sort of a combination of humorous, because this is fairly comedic, this film, humorous and yet really neurotic at the same time, and it's a really fun performance that I haven't seen from him before. And he and Zendaya are kind of the king and queen of these bad relationship movies lately, but he does something different here, which is what I think, why I think the part appealed to him. Zendaya also, she doesn't have as much to do, but what she does is just fascinating. You're drawn to look at her and her micro expressions. It's not a particularly showy performance, but it's interesting. You can't take your eyes off of her. And then Mamadou Athie, who I have seen be more recessive in the past, is very confident here. He also doesn't have a lot to do, but what he does with like real forwardness that I appreciated. Now, the MVPs of this movie, though, are the supporting performances. You know that saying that there are no small parts, only small actors? These are small parts that are filled by great actors. So we've got Haley Gates, who plays a co-worker of Charlie's. You may have noticed her in The Moment with Charlie XCX. That's where she really got my attention, playing her tour producer, who's trying to have her voice heard throughout the process. And here she plays a coworker who has a very uncomfortable interaction with one of her other characters that she really sells well. And then Sydney Lemon, who I was really impressed from the recent Love Story, where she played Carolyn Bisset's sister. She shines here in a small role as a DJ for an upcoming wedding, whose story gets even more complicated and fraught with problems and drama. And then, last but not least, is Zoe Winters, who I thought stole the movie Materialists, was fantastic as this woman with a traumatic past. And here she plays the wedding photographer, and she is all broad smiles that is masking frustration with her clients. And she also does a fantastic job. This film is truly bizarre, and it gets more and more complicated as this one revelation unfolds. And it makes you question how well you know people. If you're going to get married to somebody, do you really know everything about them, or are you just taking a gamble? And For the most part, it succeeds. It's really well done. It's really involving. It's really engrossing. It's slightly disturbing, and actually more than slightly disturbing at times. However, it doesn't quite stick the landing to a point where I just thought, wow, the entire final shot of The Graduate told us more in those few seconds than this entire film does here. It's weird. It's like, you just kind of think, well, this could have just been an email, especially with its last act, where you just said, that's it? That's all you're doing with this story? It's just kind of making the same point that it made from the beginning, which is just how well do we know people, without offering a ton of options beyond that. Or you think, like, maybe these people should seek professional help at some point. Maybe? No? Okay. All right. Thank you, movie. You told a comedic, fun story well, but you didn't really have a lot on your mind, or you had too much on your mind and you didn't know how to resolve it. And that's kind of how I feel. And so the movie, it kind of pissed me off. It just kind of, lost its steam, lost its, the air went out of the tires in the end. But I think it is worth seeing, especially for the performances, the editing, the directing. It's really well done. And, I like that elliptical storytelling. It's not expected, especially in a rom-com. You don't usually see this style of filmmaking. So I recommend it, but just know that you might not feel fully satisfied. Tell me what you thought. Leave a comment below if you saw the film or if you want to see it. You want some advice on how to see it. And until next time, see you later.